Hello everyone, my name is Michaela and I started the UX design course on 24th of June, and this is my presentation about the Easy Language application, the flashcard prototype I've created. First of all, I will introduce you to my persona, Gerald. He's a German. He works as an IT consultant, and his goals and needs are to get knowledgeable on the Chinese colloquial language and to learn some Chinese vocabulary for IT purposes. The problem I am trying to solve here is my persona's issue of not being able to find a way of learning Chinese fast and effective, and the lack of utility and usability that characterize the other flashcard applications. The problem statement would be that Gerald wants to learn Chinese colloquial language fast to integrate in his Chinese colleagues group. The challenges faced by my persona are the lack of time to learn and the difficulty in finding a learning method that is really fitting his needs, which are to provide enough colloquial vocabulary to match the day-to-day native speakers' dialogues, to be entertaining, easy to use, visually attractive, and efficient. These are some of the prototypes I've created. Splash screen, a login screen, sign up screen, an onboarding screen, home screen, my account screen, settings, game settings, how to create a new flashcard. Uh, During my usability tests, I decided to test how fast the users could complete certain tasks. I chose to focus on this matter because most of the users won't have much time at their disposal to use an app, and they would rather work with one that helps them reach the language learning goal in the least amount of time possible. And I gave them 5 tasks: to find the medical category for flashcards, to find the flashcard ID, to change the voice of the flashcard, to add a flashcard to favorites, and to go back to the home menu. These are some of my early prototypes: a splash screen, home screen, a login screen, onboarding screen, games screen, onboarding screen for flashcards, search screen, set screen, a flashcard. What failed when I created my first prototypes? The back buttons were not in the same place for each interface. Some interface did not feature the simple option of reaching back to home with the X. The user needed to go through all the previously opened windows with the back button. The sets feature was not clear to the users. They didn't know exactly what that was. I didn't have enough onboarding screens. What have I improved? I made the onboarding screens. I've changed the name of sets to flashcard sets for more clarity. I've changed the position of the back button to be always located at the top left side of the page. I've made the navigation back to home easier by adding the X button. These are the improvements, and this is onboarding screen, home screen, flashcard set with the back button here at the top left of the page. Here I added the X button. Here is an onboarding screen with instructions that weren't here before. This is a feature that I didn't have before of adding flashcards. And in the future, I am planning to improve other things, like to make even better onboarding screens. The professional flashcards will also include the feature of displaying the definition and some basic grammatical info. I will improve the back, the next, and the X navigation buttons. I will insert more help buttons where it's needed, an optional reminder also for users to practice either every day or a few times per day, per week, per month as they wish. They can set this. The application will display a seeing sign to monitor the already seen flashcards, flashcard sets, and the already read classes. And now we will talk about what I've learned from my positive and my negative feedback. Let's start with the negative. I've learned that the button Save Back Next X settings should always be displayed in the same place, that we should have enough onboarding screens, that the onboarding screen should be clear, uncrowded, and containing only the amount of instructions that are enough for the user to understand how to use a feature, and the navigation to the application should not waste users' time. From my positive feedbacks, I learned that it's useful that in flashcards, and also once you open a certain flashcard set, the flashcards are ordered alphabetically and not randomly, like in most flashcard applications. That a funny, cute, and typical home interface, it's always welcomed by the users. And the last part of my presentation is the story spine. This is my evolution through this course, and it's better if we see it like this. So I started the project with the goal of creating the best flashcard application in terms of UX design, to obtain user satisfaction, and also to get my first achievement. The first task got approved the first time. This was related to finding 3 flashcard applications to download them in the phone and to see the pros and the cons of each one of them in terms of UX design. It was a very interesting task, and I learned that even though I made the presentation really good, this should also look good. The same thing I learned from the same task, from the second task, the one of interviewing 3 people and ask them how they learn languages the most effective. I've also learned here how to take an interview, how to speak with the people. The third task was to create a proto-persona based on these interviews. And also here my task wasn't approved for the first time because I became too creative. I needed to redo the problem statement and the hypothesis because they weren't really helpful for my flashcard application. The fourth task was called information architecture, and I learned here through the feedback to be aware that the information in both user flow and task analysis should completely match. The fifth task was the most challenging, and here I had to create the prototype and the wireframes. I needed to revise this task twice. It was really interesting, and even though I thought that I'm doing it right from the first time, I learned that I missed important screens like splash screens, onboarding, the possibility to upload new words screen. On prod, the prototype was not working correctly. Some screens were not clickable, and it was really a challenging task, but I've learned a lot from my feedback. The sixth task, the usability test report. Here I received a good feedback, only that with the mention that I should learn when I'm doing such a usability test, I should not only focus on the tasks I have in mind, but give the user the possibility to go through all the screens and to make sure he has a real experience. The eighth task, the seventh task is this one of presenting my work, and the eighth task was to draft my personal design profile. So this was my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all the best luck with your own projects. Goodbye.